It is time. Welcome back, everyone. I am Changy Raptor, and this is RWBY Volume 9, Chapter 10, the finale. Much like, I think, a lot of people right now, I am really just nervous. For a number of reasons, really. The obvious being, you know, what's going to happen in this final episode. We've been set up for an interesting finale, to say the least. The big thing on my mind, and I guess on everyone's minds, is, well, the thing that's been the big thing for this whole volume, and that is RWBY. What is going to happen to RWBY in this episode? I think it's safe to assume that there's going to be some summer stuff in this episode as well. So, yeah. Beyond that, we have, well, everything else. Getting back to Remnant, what's going to happen with Jaune, what's going to happen with Neo, what's going to happen with... God, I do not feel ready. Which is kind of funny, because I've actually been feeling kind of okay and calm this week. But soon as I hit the record button here, I was just struck with all of the nerves. And it's difficult to speak. As for what else we know about this episode, it's going to be a long one, which we kind of already knew that already. But, yeah, long episode. And we're going to get a song, aside from the usual credits song. So, yay. God. I am feeling not great. Since this is the finale, and it's going to be a big episode, and, things are probably going to happen, I'm not sure how I'm going to structure this video. Like, I don't know how much I will stick around after the initial reaction and talk about stuff. So, we'll just kind of wing it, I guess. If I feel like I have a lot of stuff to talk about immediately afterwards, I will. If I don't, then discussion section will be a big one, I think. Got a feeling. And before we get into this, just in case, I'm a bit too shocked or whatever to say anything about it, like during the credits or whatever. But, man, all of the love and praise and thanks to every single member of CRWBY. Seriously. I will probably have something more articulate to say, maybe in the discussion section when I'm, not being a nervous wreck. But, man, they've all done such an incredible job this volume, and seeing how much they care about the show and their work is always so incredibly special to see, and they never really get the praise they deserve. So, watch the credits, look at all the names, appreciate them. You don't need to know who they are. You don't even need to really understand what they did. But I think it's important for people to watch and read the credits and just appreciate and be thankful for all of them. Because they are so fucking cool. So, yeah, I think that's all I can say without rambling and making no sense. So, without further ado, let's do this. Here we go. Volume 9, Chapter 10 of Solitude and Self. Dude, I haven't got the words. I really don't. Heart's pounding a mile a minute. Mind's struggling to comprehend that this is it. Okay. Let's focus. Calm down. Try to calm down. And enjoy this song. One last time. Ah! Okay.
And on the wind, Alex heard one more question. What are you?
There she is.
I love you, just the way you are. Always.
Is this when she left?
It's not like you to rush off on a mission in the middle of the night.
You know how Ozpin gets. Mystery after mystery.
And when it turns out to be yet another run-of-the-mill patrol, it'll be...
I always prefer discretion. I'll be back soon.
I know.
Ah. Hey.
Nobody suspects anything?
No, they think it's a typical mission.
Summer Rose telling lies.
Oh.
First time for everything.
Holy shit.
And, what about... You're just going to leave them?
You're one to talk.
It's... You're better at that life. Better than I was.
If I do this right, there's nothing to worry about. Trust me.
Oh, man.
Let's get it over with, I guess.
Ah. Interesting.
What was that? She lied. She left with Raven. Why would she?
Who knows why people keep the secrets they do? Maybe you're not the only one who has felt the weight of others' expectations. Like Alex. Like your mother.
Are you just trying to tell me that it's useless? That I shouldn't even try? Is that the big lesson I'm supposed to learn? Just give up? Become someone else?
Is that what I'm telling you?
Mm-hmm.
You never
Oh, is this?
Alex,
Yeah.
You couldn't save me.
I couldn't save a lot of people.
Maybe it's time for a change. To be the kind of man you've always wanted to be.
There's the concept art for last episode. Ugh.
The leaves! Burn the leaves!
Let's commit arson!
Taking a page out of the caterpillar's book. The leaves have no effect on me.
Maybe not. That's not the case for Neo.
No!
Ooh.
These regrets! These feelings! I can't! I can't!
Final form. Holy shit.
Your time is running out. You must choose. Choose for yourself one who could leave your burdens behind, or choose one who would do enough to bear them.
I love you. Just the way you are.
This one. What happens if I choose me?
Then maybe that girl is enough.
Yo. Don't you dare. Oh, hell, dude.
RWBY!
You're you. How?
She knew what she needed to be all along.
How perfect!
Yo. Dude. Holy shit.
You're broken. You break everything you touch. Like all humans. Weak. Confused. Incomplete.
No, you're wrong. She's never been any of those things. That's why we follow her.
We're going to Remnant, and you're staying here.
Jeez. What about you?
What would they have? What a thing, huh? So, that's it then? Yeah, I know. I'm not real.
What about her?
She'll find herself. One way or another.
Ruby? What's wrong?
When I was in the tree, I never saw little. I wish I could say thank you.
Do you guys think we might have made things even worse in the ever after? Just like Alex did?
I'm not sure. I'd like to think that we did at least a little good. Right?
What? Oh my goodness.
Do I know you?
Oh, I don't believe we've met yet. Please, what are you?
Well, you know, I haven't thought about it yet. You look like you have your wits about you. What do you think I am?
Well, to me, you seem like a friend.
A guide. A protector. Adorable.
Do any of those sound close?
Somewhat. Yeah, somewhat. I'm not any one thing. I'm somewhat of a lot of things.
It is a true pleasure to meet you somewhat.
It will be my honor to serve you.
You've already done more for us than you know.
You do feel familiar. Like a happy dream I can't remember.
The heart never
I'm
forgets.
so glad we got to meet you. I'm sure you'll help lots of people. But now we have to say goodbye.
It will be all right, Huntress.
Hey, somewhat?
I am at your service.
Will you look after Juniper? She means the world to me.
I will never leave her side.
Can't wait for that spin-off. Buddy Cop Adventures with Somewhat and Juniper. The souls? Oh.
Welcome to my workshop.
Ruby? Is this the tree?
Something like that.
I've been waiting a long time for you.
Oh, well,
Dragon.
I made it.
I'm glad you did.
Can you answer a question for me? I need to know if it's true what the cat said, that Lewis went back and Alex...
Yes, only Lewis returned home. The girl who fell through the world is the story as he wished it had happened.
Are
Wait.
those?
The brothers.
Yes, these brothers were the tree's earliest blossoms, and the first to inhabit the ever after. Remarkable beings, very ambitious. The tree did not foresee what they would become. But that is the joy of creating, the not knowing.
What?
Back then, the ever after was overgrown, wild and dangerous. The brothers were meant to
yeah.
help tame it
Deer and a goat.
and build the world that was to come after. First, they were given the power to destroy, to clear the wilderness away.
Yep.
Then they were given creativity to imagine what and who could replace the wilderness. The brothers built homes for them and gave them roles to play.
If this is what they were supposed to do, how did Remnant come about? Us.
The brothers grew curious. They wanted to do more. And so, using the skills
Oh,
and
cool.
tools they had been given, they began to design their own creations in utmost secrecy. Soon they realized their new creation could do their job for them, finding the broken parts of the ever after. After this success, the brothers designed a second creature to finish what the cat started. It came out brutal and effective. One brother believed they had disrupted the balance, while the other refused to condemn their creations for their mistakes. But balance is not two forces locked in never-ending battle. Balance is an ecosystem, an organism, a living, breathing thing. Thus, balance cannot be restored with force or calculation. True balance finds its own
Oh,
inner
cool.
It only requires love and the patience to see things through to the end.
So, how did they get to Remnant?
The ever after could no longer bear the brothers' experiments, and so the tree built them a special door to a greater beyond, where the brothers could try creating worlds of their own. A doorway that would remain open for the brothers' return, and any of their creations. And what truly remarkable things they accomplished. Whenever the brothers' creations have come to the ever after, the 5 of you have had a greater impact than you know, just like Alex and Lewis did before you, just like others will after you. One small kindness in one small moment led to such a marvelous transformation. Much like one act of dishonesty caused an unfortunate change,
Alex broke her promise to the cat.
A terrible thing to have a broken heart.
Hmm.
And there was nobody to send them back to the tree for
Yeah.
repair.
What will happen to Neo?
She will have the chance to return her broken heart and become something new. Such is balance.
That's Alex's knife. Wait, how do you have this?
When Alex's life ended, she chose to leave a part of herself behind. A wish to fix what she had broken.
Yay!
I can't believe it.
It's been so...
This is what I sounded like.
Ah,
Where will
yeah.
this take us?
Yeah, that's my question.
Not where. When you are needed most.
When you are needed most. Where could that be?
Thank you.
That looks like Vacuo. The bird. Look at all of these wonderful people. It's a very different song. Ooh, more of this. Ooh. I apologize I'm not talking, but I'm just listening to the music and reading everything here. So, bear with me. Red Like Roses Part 3, baby! The Edge.
The Grim in the Forest.
Hey!
I've never seen anything.
See
like
this in a few days.
We fought monsters.
Oh, Kevin.
They're soulless creatures with only one purpose. To destroy humanity.
Leadership isn't about your age. It's about your heart.
Mark is right. I'd follow you
Whoa.
into any battle.
We're stronger together.
Unironically super excited for that. Oh, shit. And that is Volume 9. Oh, wow. I feel a wonderful sense of resolution. Like I'm not feeling nervous anymore, and it's great. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling. God, there's going to be so much to talk about here. I've just got to decide whether I want to talk about some stuff now or just save it all for the discussion section, because I do really want to go and have a look at, you know, the rest of the internet right now and see what people are saying. Man, what a volume, dude. I think I'll quickly just go over it or skim through just in case there's anything I quickly want to talk about. So, oh, right, yeah. The whole opening scene. Holy shit. Holy shit. After all these years, finally, Stark shenanigans. Beloved Stark content. Hey, look at Ty. He doesn't have his no facial hair yet. God, look at that. Look at that. They're perfect for each other. Ah, man. This though. What the fuck? So much for them being like, you know, estranged. They've been in cahoots with each other, it seems. God, I really wonder why. And what... Oh, man. All this is going to do is just reignite the flames of people begging for, like, a Team Stark spin-off. Or something. And Raven, dude, this is... We haven't seen... We haven't seen Raven since Volume 5. Damn! And yeah, they definitely seem to be on friendly terms, which is definitely not what I think any of us were expecting. So that's fun. And obviously this is, assumedly, Summer's disappearance. You know, she did not come back. So, okay. We have to listen to this. I'm sorry, we have to. Because Red Like Roses Part 3, dude. Can you believe it? Oh, that's so pretty.
RWBY!
You're you. How?
She knew.
Oh,
what
yeah,
she
and of
needed
course,
to
on
be.
top of all this choreography, dude. That is such a cool summon. This bit. Okay, so yeah. Alright, that moment done. Okay, I'm good. Yeah, so this will be it for Neo. Oh, it was quite sad actually. I felt really bad for her in the end. I am wondering if we'll ever see or hear of Neo ever again. This definitely seems pretty final, you know? So I love that the branches and the leaves look like the parasol. That's a nice detail. Somewhat. What a great name. A great little design too. And also they're a lot bigger than I thought they were initially. Look at it. So much bigger. Look at it. So, Origins of the Gods. I was not expecting that. So, they did not make the Ever After. They were just a product of it. That's very interesting. So it's like the blacksmith and the tree are, you know, above them. Which is, whew, damn. I was not expecting us to have anything above those two, ever. So, yeah. And we get their whole origin story. Man. I love these designs. They're so cool. Oh, I love that. Ah, this was cool.
Sword with force or calculation. True balance finds its own. It only requires love and the patience to see things through to the end.
And we get all the individual flowers, which is awesome.
So-
I don't think we've ever had such direct like references to like their specific flowers in the show before. I mean, well, aside from Ruby, obviously, because, you know, Rose. But for the others, it's so cool. Look at them. They look a bit different than they did in Volume 6, especially the God of Darkness. He's a bit more like brighter, or like the outlines are. Right, and now we are in Vacuo, and it seems time has passed. So the big thing that jumps out to me there, obviously, is Amity fucking Coliseum. How on earth did you get here? It looks like it's stuck in like a rock. What the hell? We've got some Atlesian ships. I think, are those like those Veil airships that we saw back in Volume 1 and like Never Again? I think they are. Some Mistral ones. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll cut things short here and you know, move on to the discussion section. But man, dude, what a volume, man. We waited for quite a long time for this. happened. It's all happened in the blink of an eye. These 10 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever. There's obviously going to be a lot to say and a lot to think about. But right now, to wrap up this part, just big ol' thank you to CRWBY. Every single person who laid a finger on this show, on this volume. I love you to bits. It is very difficult to try and explain what the show means to me personally, because it's such a deep, emotional thing. And I'm not going to try and explain it right now. I might give it a go in the discussion section, but yeah. Okay. That'll be it for the initial reaction section. See you in the discussion section. Discussion section. The last one for this volume. And might be a long one. This is probably, unsurprisingly, the most amount of stuff that I've written for an episode. So, yeah. Let's just get into this. Starting, of course, with music. The interesting thing about this episode musically is that, the score at least, it's all just one composer. It's all Martin Gonzalez. Although we did get another moment with, Casey singing in the score. So that was neat. That was towards the beginning, where we hear the same, idea or theme that we heard back in Chapter 2 with Ruby's speech about Penny. And we also hear the little idea from the end of Chapter 2 as well. So, that's interesting. I definitely need to go through all of Volume 9 and look into the, ever after ideas that Martin seems to have developed in his cues. Because there's definitely, I think, a lot more going on there than I initially realized. That small little idea from the end of Chapter 2 that I just mentioned appears again at the very end of Neo's scene where she's become part of the tree, which is really what made me start to say to myself, man, I really need to go back and look into this stuff. During the whole God's backstory thing, we do hear, I think, the exact same music that we heard in Chapter 6 with, the Alex and Lewis flashback thing. Again, I really need to go back and sort of confirm that, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. And now we have the two big music moments from this episode. First and foremost, the song Guide My Way, aka Red Like Roses Part 3. Hell yeah! We'll be talking more about that moment later on, but just talking about the music at the moment. Man, playing that whole opening riff of Red Like Roses, which is something that actually hasn't happened quite a lot in the score. It's happened a few times, but usually it's just the first half of the riff, or it's the the actual melodies. But it hasn't actually been that common to actually hear the full riff, which is, and hearing it here, oh my god. And then to really hit you, they do the first few, the first half of the lyrics, and that combined with the visuals of that moment, dude. And then there's the whole final cue, which features "This'll Be the Day" twice, and man, it sounds so good. That first time we hear it, it starts when we see the gods about to leave the Ever After, and then it plays through like a good minute or so, I think. And "This'll Be the Day" is one of those songs where like it's sort of like uncommon in the score. Like I think it's only appeared 15-ish times. I can check that actually. If I was smart, I would have checked this beforehand. 15 times. Yeah, 15 times. And interestingly, it's in... Oh no, it's not in every volume. The only volume it did not appear in was volume 4. It's in all the others though. But yeah, it's a theme that hasn't shown up in the score a lot. But, it's "This'll Be the Day." It's the first opening song. It is iconic. So when it does show up, it hits, and it hits hard. And this might be the hardest it has ever hit. Because it is supporting a couple very, very emotional moments. So it gets the advantage of that. And the second reference to it in this final scene, in the very, very final moment, as we look out over Vacuo. Man, that guitar though. And it is very, very appropriate to the lyrics of the song, which is not a common thing, I think. Because, it's the chorus of the song. "This'll be the day we've waited for. This'll be the day we open up the door." So, and, man, dude. It gets me giddy. It really does. But yeah, that whole final cue might be my favorite one of the volume. I recognize that there's probably some recency bias going on right now, so, check back in like a couple months or whenever the soundtrack comes out. But yeah, it's good. And since this is the finale, I think this is probably a good time to just sort of talk about Volume 9's music as a whole. And I think you know what I'm going to say, basically. It was great. On the song side of things, they've been brilliant. I didn't expect anything different. With Jeff retiring and then passing the torch down to Casey and Martine, I knew going in what they were capable of and did not disappoint in the slightest. I've very much appreciated how the songs feel similar to what we're used to, but they are noticeably different than what we're used to as well. They're all really great, and I don't know which one I'm most excited for. It might be Red Like Roses Part 3. But again, recency bias. But that one's going to be a tough one to beat. I'm also really excited for Checkmate, because that's a bop. Chatterbox as well, because for what we've heard of that, I was like, ooh, hell yeah, dude. And now the score. Score of this volume was pretty damn good. Tons of great moments. I haven't had as much to talk about as I have in the past, but that's just because I'm a leitmotif guy, and, I don't really know how to talk about music beyond that, because I don't actually know music all that well. And by that I mean like music theory and all that stuff. But yeah, Volume 9 may have the least amount of leitmotif usage in the show. Again, I still need to do like a deep dive into the score to actually, find everything that is there. But it's definitely on the lower end. It might beat Volume 1 in terms of the number of like leitmotifs used, but I don't know yet. And some of you may ask, well, why is that? Why didn't we get, the usual, leitmotif stuff that we're used to? Well, I can't really explain that because I don't really know. First, there's like the narrative context being, Volume 9 is taking place in this place that is very departed from everything else that we know. So there really isn't much opportunity for older themes and motifs to show up. Secondly, we have a bunch of different composers, and their styles of writing music is going to be different from each other and from previous volumes. Plus, there may be unfamiliarity with RWBY's, like leitmotif depth, because it is really deep. And that doesn't just apply to the composers either. That can also apply to the directors, because the directors do, have a degree of control over what the music is like and what it is made of. And the last thing I can think of is the collaboration between the composers. I think if you have a group of composers working on something and they're all collaborating and communicating with each other and sharing ideas, it's a lot easier for, a theme written by this composer to be used by this composer and so on and so forth. I don't know what the situation was like for this volume, so I don't know how much the composers communicated with one another and shared ideas back and forth. It doesn't seem to have happened much, if at all, because a lot of the themes that we do get, new themes that is, they do seem to only appear with one particular composer. And really, as far as I can tell, I think only Martin Gonzalez really wrote, recurring themes throughout the volume. Peter Jones did have at least one new theme, which was the Red Prince. But yeah, I don't think Martin de Lima or Matthew Wang, as far as I know anyway, had any recurring ideas in their cues. And I should absolutely say, none of this is meant or intended to be a slight against the score or the composers or anything. The music, this volume, is great. The score is great. It really is. But having that extra connection linking the music and the story that's on screen together, in my opinion at least, makes it even better. So more of that could never hurt. But yeah, man, Volume 9, music-wise, it's been great. It's been really great. Bring on the soundtrack. I cannot wait. I'm excited to, record a reaction to the soundtrack for the first time. That will be exciting. And it'll let me properly, delve into the score and actually find all the little cool stuff. And then make a list of my favorite moments. Because that's something that I've been doing. I think almost a year ago now, I went through all the volumes and picked out my favorite musical moments, because I want to make like a top thingy, like a top 15 of my musical moments videos for each volume. Well, volumes 1 and 2 are a top 15. The others are not. The others are bigger, because I could not narrow down a top 15. I am awful at picking favorites. But yeah, those videos should hopefully start coming out soon. I'm in the process right now of writing the script for Volume 3. Volumes 1 and 2 have been recorded. I'm editing the Volume 1 video, so hopefully that should be out soon. But that is completely irrelevant to what I should be talking about right now, which is Volume 9, Chapter 10. So let's move on. I don't really have a lot of like small things to mention because all the stuff I want to mention is like sort of big stuff. But really the only small thing that I have to mention is the concept art that we got last episode in the credits of Chapter 9. We saw that in this episode, those poses. I'll put something here to demonstrate it. But neat. And the other small thing is this shot. Obviously, in the intro, we had, those sideways shots where we had, RWBY in the back and Yang and Blake leading. And now, at the end, after, everything that happened, look who's in front. Alrighty, so, Summer Rose. We see the night that she left and presumably never came back. It is interesting how she's lying to Taiyang, and she's clearly not comfortable doing that. And this is something that I was wondering, I think last week, but how much does Taiyang even know about Salem at this point? Anyway, like at this part in the timeline, like by the time of Volume 8, he definitely knows because of RWBY's message. But I'm just wondering because he never has seemed to take much action, or the way that he has acted throughout the show for all that we've seen of him, he doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't know about Salem, which would be interesting because everyone else on Stark does. So I assume that he probably does, but I don't know. And then we get Raven. Whoa. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that we're seeing Raven in like a Stark flashback, but dude, it's Raven. And man, Summer and Raven have a much better relationship at this point in time than I anticipated. I expected them to not be on, I guess friendly terms. Although I mean, maybe they aren't at this point, and they're just working together for the greater good. But I mean, they seemed kind of friendly with each other, sort of, maybe not really. But I was sort of expecting them to be at this point, after Raven had left and ran away. I expected them to not like each other at all. And yes, they are working together here. So, what is this plan? What is this mission that they are embarking on? It seems to be Summer's plan. And I assume things probably didn't go well. Which, does that, this mission that they're going on, things don't go well. Summer doesn't come back. Does that also result in the Raven that we know? Because the Raven that we see here she's a lot more, I don't know, chipper, happy, sort of. But the Raven that we're familiar with from Volume 4 and Volume 5 seems like a very different person. So I'm wondering if this is the moment where she definitely changed to become who we know her as. And sort of the big question at the very end of this, Raven makes the portal and they walk through it. But who is the portal linking to? Because as we know, Raven's semblance making portals, she can only do it to, people that she's bonded with. And in Volume 5, we get a list of those people, those being, Tai, Yang, Crow, and Vernal. But obviously, Vernal probably doesn't, well, I was going to say doesn't exist yet, but I mean, she does. But their relationship, Raven and Vernal, probably doesn't exist yet. and she's not going to Tai, and she's not going to Yang, so does that mean she is going to CRWBY? Well, that could be supported by CRWBY's line from Volume 4, Chapter 9, when he's, like unconscious and talking in his sleep. He seems to be sort of reliving the moment where he's telling Tai that Summer's not coming back. That sort of always implied that CRWBY sort of knew what happened to Summer, so maybe he was there, which could support the idea that, Raven and Summer are going to CRWBY in this moment. But it is also contradicted in Volume 7, Chapter 4, when CRWBY is talking to RWBY about Summer, and, CRWBY mentions that, Summer going away, the mission that she went on was just as much a mystery to him as it was to Ozpin and Tai, which implies that he was also in the dark about this. So if they aren't going to CRWBY, who are they going to? And the other big question here is Raven the Spring Maiden at this point? We don't exactly know the time frame of when this flashback is taking place. We don't know exactly how old RWBY and Yang are here. And the Spring Maiden, before Raven, she ran away, quote, over a decade ago in Volume 5. So 10 years before Volume 5. Over a decade, which isn't an exact time frame, but the point is, we definitely seem to be in the right time where Raven would have acquired the Spring Maiden's powers. So, does she have them here or not? That is another question. But yeah, this whole opening scene is great. It's very surreal in a way to finally be getting some Stark content, and it has definitely reignited that flame that has been going, since Volume 3 of Stark prequel, Stark spin-off, when, please. I'm not opposed to that. Jaune. So we start with him in the tree leaf smoke vision where he speaks to Alex, or, a representation of Alex. And it's very brief, but it just sums up his whole thing, really. Him being unable to protect people. And Alex, says maybe it's time for a change. To be the kind of man you always wanted to be. And it's interesting that she's the one that says you never were the hero. And of course, at the end of the episode, he returns to his younger self because of Alex. As we learn, when Alex died, she chose to leave a part of herself behind, seemingly in her dagger, to fix what she had broken, which was, what she was going to do before the cat decided to, do a murder. And he's back to his younger self, but he has the white streaks in his hair still, which is a really nice little detail. And I'm very glad that he's ended up like this. We've definitely had some concerns over what would happen with him by the end of this volume, whether he would not make it home, whether he would stay old, or whether he would find a way to go back to normal. And it's the latter. But he has all his memories still, it seems, of being in the Ever After, so he's got 20 plus years of experience on his shoulders, even though he's now back to being 19. So yay. I guess we'll just continue working chronologically through the episode. RWBY. So here we are in the finale, the culmination of RWBY's arc over this volume. And boy, It's great. It's really great. The choice that she's been presented with gets laid out pretty clearly by the blacksmith. Choose for yourself one who could leave your burdens behind, or choose one who will be enough to bear them. And RWBY chooses to be herself, remembering the words that her mother spoke to her. I love you just the way you are. And, dude, that's goddamn. I'm going to cry. But more than that, though, it is RWBY realizing and accepting she is enough. Just as she is. Ruby Rose is enough. And what more do I say? And then there is her triumphant return. And holy shit. We already talked about Red Like Roses Part 3, but, dude, that moment, that music, dude, and the visuals, God. Especially this one, because it's a direct callback to the Red trailer, the very first thing we ever saw. The very first time we ever saw Ruby Rose was that pose. And I think one of my favorite things about this moment is from the script. Eddie shared this part of the script on Twitter, and the line, looking simultaneously different and more herself than she's ever been. Dude. That shit makes me cry. Ugh. And then there's the fight. Holy shit. Joel, man, is the man. I know he's heard that joke way too many times, but I gotta say it. I am so happy for Joel that he got to animate this. For those who may not know, Joel Mann is one of the longest serving members on Volume 9's crew. He came on as an animator during Volume 2 and has been on the show ever since. He became animation director in Volume 6, which meant that he didn't really get to animate much of the show anymore. Which is why I'm so happy that he got to animate this fight, this moment with RWBY. Being animated by one of the earliest animators on the show. He did such a fucking good job. And then after that, the rest of the fight with all of Team RWBY involved, which was animated by Alex Hoyle, also, dude, that final move, holy shit. The colors. Oh, the colors. And people have been asking whether that was time dilation. I don't know. It'd be cool. But I don't know. But, oh, dude, that whole final move was so fucking cool. And the colors were so pretty. Yeah, I gotta move on because this is probably already really, really long already. And we've still got a lot to talk about. So, Neo. So, Neo has chosen to go to the tree. And as RWBY says, she'll find herself one way or another. And as the blacksmith says towards the end, she'll have a chance to return her broken heart and become something new. So this does seem like a very final thing for Neo in the show. Will we ever see or hear about her again? I don't know. It is possible to see her again. She's not dead or gone. She is ascending into, something. And, the door to Remnant is still open, so, she could come back, technically. Whether she will or not is a whole other question. But man, that final scene with her was really sad. Really, really sad. The farewell to Roman especially was... yeah. It's an interesting experience feeling so sad for, you know, a character and a person who's not exactly the best. You know, I don't think anyone would argue that Neo is not exactly a good person. Yeah, it's really sad. Especially like Roman's line, you know, to have what they have. Because she doesn't have that anymore. And I don't think there was any way for Neo to have that anymore. So choose to become something new and, you know, return her broken heart. So it's a very nice ending for Neo, and I very much appreciated the design of the tree and the leaves after she's gone to the tree, making it look like she's got her umbrella still. So that was very, very nice. Right, so the Curious Cat. We see their final form, which is fittingly called the Furious Cat, which is great. But anyway, the cat was created by the brothers, which, well, we knew that. But the cat eventually ended up doing their job for them, which was, you know, fixing and binding the broken parts of the Ever After. And the cat suffered a bit of a twist of irony when they suffered a broken heart because Alex broke her promise to bring the cat to Remnant. And no one else in the Ever After had the ability to send them back to the tree to repair that, which is what led to the cat being the cat that we saw. AKA, you know, not the nicest cat in the world. But yeah, I really like that sort of explanation as for, you know, what happened to the cat to make them the way that they were. And then there's a little, or should I say, somewhat. Oh my god, dude, they're so adorable. I love that Somewhat's design has a lot of similarities to RWBY. Like, they have the cape, they have sort of the belt thing, they have the gloves. It's all very reminiscent of RWBY's design. And the origin of their name, I love it. I'm not one thing, I'm somewhat of a lot of things. Oh, it's so... And of course, even though Somewhat does not have Little's memories, they do recognize RWBY in some way. As the cat said back in Chapter 5, the heart very rarely forgets. Which was a nice payoff for that. And the most emotional part of that scene, which was already really emotional, was Somewhat saying, it will be all right, Huntress. Of course, we've spent this whole volume with RWBY doubting her ability as a huntress, whether she should be even called that. And then we have Somewhat come in this scene, and they don't know what a huntress is. They don't know that RWBY or any of the others are huntresses anymore. And they call RWBY a huntress, because that is what she is. And And now, Somewhat and Juniper are going to have adventures in the Ever After, and that needs to be a spin-off, please, or a book, like a comic book or a children's book. Somewhat and Juniper's adventures in the Ever After, please and thank you. Right, and then we go through the door to Remnant, and we end up at the blacksmith's workshop, and the blacksmith / the tree is the true god of this universe, which is something that I definitely did not see coming. I enjoy how there's a very clear difference between the blacksmith, the big true god, and the two brothers, the gods. The Blacksmith never forces RWBY or anyone to become what they need to become. The Blacksmith just guides and just helps and leaves the decisions to them. Whereas, the two brothers are sort of more like Greek gods, They're kind of dicks. But yeah, in the blacksmith workshop, they are working on carving these little figures, and the figures are of pretty much, I think, every major and sort of minor character that we saw in the Ever After. There's the two brothers, obviously. There's the cat. There's the herbalist. There's Somewhat. There's Juniper. There's the Jabberwocker. There's Hawker. There's the Teapot Lady. The Red Prince. Jinxie. And then the final thing on the desk is that like pinkish gem thing, which seems a bit odd and out of place. People have been thinking that maybe that's Neo, which, sure. The one that I think is probably interesting to note is the one of Juniper, because there's a very clear focus on it when Jaune picks it up and asks about Alex. Which does sort of lead me to think that maybe this was them just implying that, hey, Juniper, Alex, maybe that's what Alex was made into. Without explicitly, saying it outright. This was the closest that they could get to just, wink, wink. And then we learn about the gods, the two brothers. So, they were creations of the Ever After. They did not create it, as we were sort of expecting. They were the tree's earliest blossoms, and they were the first to inhabit the Ever After. It's interesting that the tree did not foresee what they would become, and I enjoyed the line of, that is the joy of creating, not knowing. But yeah, then we get big ol' exposition lore drop of, the gods and their origins. They were made to help tame the Ever After and build the world that was to come after. They were given the power to destroy, to clear the wilderness. Then they were given creativity to, imagine what and who could replace the wilderness. They then seemingly built the acres and made all the roles for all the Afterans to play. They then grew curious, wanting to do more, which led to them designing their own creations in secrecy. The first of which was the Curious Cat, who eventually would end up performing their role of fixing the Ever After. And then, as the opposite, they created the Jabberwocker to, quote, finish what the cat started. And that's where the rift between the two started, it seems, because after they created the Jabberwocker, one brother believed they had disrupted the balance, while the other refused to condemn their creations for their mistakes. We then get a nice little monologue about balance, which was really, really interesting. The blacksmith says that balance is an ecosystem, an organism, a living, breathing thing. Thus, balance cannot be restored with force or calculation. True balance finds its own equilibrium. It only requires love and the patience to see things through to the end. And that whole bit, I think, is almost like a summary of what the entire show is or will be about. Balance cannot be restored with force or calculation. You can say that, I guess, force is like the god of darkness, calculation the god of light, or you could say force is Salem, calculation is Ozpin, two forces on the opposite sides. But true balance finds its own equilibrium. It only requires love and the patience to see things through to the end. And the visuals here, I think, say it better than I could. the colors and the flowers, red, white, black, yellow, all the flowers that have been associated with Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang for years now. They are, I guess, the equilibrium in this sense. It's a wonderful little moment to sort of think about. But yeah, then we go back to the gods. The Ever After could no longer bear their experiments, and so the tree built the doorway to a greater beyond, so that the gods could create worlds of their own, which they did. And the final line is very interesting. The doorway would remain open for the brothers' return and any of their creations. So yeah, hell of a lore dump. I'm just sort of surprised that we actually went beyond the two brothers. I was honestly expecting them to be, you know, the pinnacle of what, you know, this universe would be. But nope. The Blacksmith outclasses both of them. And I loved the designs for the two brothers. I mean, I loved their designs back in Volume 6. Their dragon designs are so fucking cool. But I love their little, like, baby designs, little baby goat and little baby deer. It was so cute. And their, like, mid-stage designs were really cool. I appreciate the God of Darkness looking sort of like a Grimm. That was really nice. Had, like, a Grimm mask. So that was really nice. And then after the lore dump, we get what might be the most emotional moment of the episode for me, because it's a beautiful culmination of not just this volume, but I think the whole show, which is, you know, when the Blacksmith is talking about how the five of you have had a greater impact than you know, just as Alex and Lewis did before you, just as others will after you. And then what follows that, you know, one small kindness in one small moment led to such a marvelous transformation. And that is obviously referring to RWBY. In the first episode, she is down and struggling with everything that has happened in the previous volumes. And she sees this mouse trying to pull out this cheese from the ground. And what does she do? She helps. One small kindness. And it's that act that ultimately has led to where we are and to little becoming somewhat. And I think it is something that really can be applied to the whole show. And of course, to real life as well. It's a very important lesson, I think. And finally, we return to Remnant. And it's not about where, it's about when you are needed most. And boy, when have they arrived? So we're in Vacuo, obviously, but big question, when? Time has obviously passed. How much time is the question? We see ships of every kingdom. Amity Colosseum is there, and it is now like a giant ship. It's also a gun. They turned Amity Colosseum into a fucking gun? Dude? And the best moment of this very final shot, is the realization that the world heard her. RWBY's message to the world from Volume 8. The world heard her, and they responded. And that is just so fucking good. And that's Volume 9. What a volume, man. I'm not really someone that picks favorites, but this volume is definitely among the highest peaks that the show has reached, narratively and quality-wise. It's special. It really is. All of the love and praise and thanks needs to go to CRWBY. They are heroes. All of them. From writers, directors, producers, concept artists, storyboard artists, modelers, riggers, look dev artists, layout artists, animators, viz post artists, effects artists, the tech team, editors, the sound team, the composers. All of them. Heroes. And if you haven't done it already, go and read the credits. Look at all the names. Appreciate them all. You don't need to understand who they are or what they do, but just appreciate what they've done. And so, yeah, big question now. Volume 10. As of me recording this, we have no word of Volume 10 being greenlit. So even if, when it happens, it's going to take a while until we see it, because, you know, considering where we're leaving off, we are entering a whole new setting. Needs to be designed. Everything needs to be designed. We're probably going to see new designs for the characters, so that's another thing. And all of that costs time and money. So, and of course, the other thing is that CRWBY, as we know it, doesn't exist anymore. So the crew also needs to be rebuilt, which will also take time. Which, you know, all of this may seem a bit scary, but I say have hope. Be optimistic. RWBY is a show about hope, and I think that's something we should all have going forward. And that is it. That is Volume 9, Chapter 10, discussion section, done. That is Volume 9, done. This has been a very fun experience, reacting to RWBY and recording it and talking about it. I definitely wish that I was doing this, you know, a lot earlier. But, oh well, what can you do? Now we wait for the soundtrack, we wait for news, hopefully, for Volume 10. We have the Justice League movies. Part 1's coming out, like tomorrow? So, yeah, I'm legitimately very excited for that. And I will be recording a reaction for that. How that will work remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens. As for the other stuff that I'm doing, well, I've already talked about the videos that I'm working on right now, the top musical moments from each volume things. And they are going to start off, well, I was going to say short, but I don't think they'll be short. Like, I'm editing the Volume 1 right now, and I'm, I think, 5 or 6 entries in out of 15, and I think I'm at like almost 10 minutes, I think. And this is definitely, and Volume 1's the one that I probably have the least amount to talk about. So, you know, I cannot imagine what it's like when I get to, you know, Volume 7 and 8, where I have 30 entries to talk about, and I have lots of stuff to actually talk about, because, you know, it's Volume 7 and Volume 8. I will hopefully be working on those a lot more now that, you know, I don't have to worry about making these videos. So be on the lookout for them. Okay, I think that will do it for me. So yeah, go check out some of my other stuff if you haven't already, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!